Well, Pastor Clint's message is part 2 of the series, Overwhelmed, and it calls us to trust God, to kind of reset our nervous system, to calm down our anxieties, to recenter our thoughts so it doesn't spill over, Clint. I like that. That was a really good illustration.
Left the cup full.
I'm glad you're back. How are you?
It's good to be back. Good. I've just been chilling in Brentwood.
Chilling in Brentwood.
Yeah.
I had some Brentwood corn yesterday, and I loved it.
It's great.
It's so
Best
good.
corn in California.
Thanks for not hogging it, because it's really, really good. If you're outside of the area, I'm so sorry. Brentwood corn is the best. Hey, we're talking about being overwhelmed, and real talk, just to get to know our pastor a little bit. What is the most ridiculous thing you've ever caught yourself worrying about?
Oh, sports related for sure.
Wait, you actually worry about if that team is?
I was watching the Niners preseason game, and my wife walked out, and my face was bright red because Jake Moody had just missed a field goal, and she's like, "What is going on?" And I said, "I don't know if are we gonna have to watch this the whole year? Is this guy gonna be our kicker? I'm so worried." And she's like, "You're literally worried about a kicker on a preseason game?" There you go.
Thank you. That is
it's supposed to be my outlet, and it turns into my biggest anxiety.
I also really like that you said, or that we talked about, how it doesn't really worrying doesn't add an hour to our day. But if you did have an extra hour during the day, what would you do? Would you Netflix it? Would you watch more sports? Would you have a burrito? Would you take a nap? What would you do with that extra hour?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a fantasy sports guy, so I love just looking up statistics and stuff on players. But I've been into Netflix and different shows lately, so
it was why are we even friends?
Yeah,
because I don't know if there's a Venn diagram where our interests overlap, except for Jesus.
Yeah,
that's enough. That's good. Hey, you mentioned that worry is often an attempt to control what we're not really meant to control. You didn't say it quite like that, but what are some practical ways that we can recognize that when we've crossed that line, when we've crossed the line into trying to just take control of life, and how can we begin to kind of release that back to God?
I mean, really the cup illustration, that's why it was so powerful for me when my counselor or my therapist, showed it to me, because ultimately, as he was describing it, is because I said, what are the things that go into my cup? And he said kind of what you said, where it's these are the things that we can't control. And so that's what causes anxiety is things that we can't control. And he said, in your life right now, there's a lot of things you can't control. Mm-hmm. And so I think, just to answer your question, that feeling of I don't know if I can fix this. I don't know if I can control this, whether it's a relationship, whether it's something in the news. That's what's so hard about our modern day political climate and our country and everything, because we don't feel like we have any influence or control over what happens.
Yep.
And that powerless feeling fills our cups so quickly because we're just helpless, and that causes anxiety. And so I don't know, if I for sure answered your question, but that reiterated it.
No, I double clicked on that because the lack of agency over things in our life is also something that God calls us to release. I think what I'm understanding from in solitude and in silence, to just say, this is not mine to carry.
Exactly. You release it, and then you ask the question, is there anything? Okay, I have a passion for this. So what part of that can I work on? Mm-hmm. Can I do? Mm-hmm. God has given me a voice. God has given me influence. So how can I use that to do something to helps people, to love people? You know what I mean? So it's yes, I can't fix the whole thing, but I can do this. It's like the prayer of serenity. God grant me the, I forget exactly how it goes, but look it up.
You've never been an alcoholic. You don't know this thing.
It's not an AA thing.
Yeah,
it's like, God grant me the peace to have peace about the things I can't control, but then the courage to go out and do the things I can. Something like that.
And the wisdom to know the difference.
Yes, see, you knew it.
See, I love it. No, that's really good. And it's biblical truth, even that prayer. At Cornerstone, one of our values is we ask, what does love require in every situation? How does choosing prayer, choosing gratitude over worrying reflect that kind of love even in our everyday relationships, towards God, towards ourselves, but also towards others?
Well, because we can pull people down with us. I think when we're overwhelmed, a lot of times we're just we look in the mirror and we go, I'm a ball, a mess, or whatever. I have this worry or something. But the reality is that spills over, and who does it spill over to? Like
That's
the
good.
people that are closest
That's
to
really
us.
good.
And so they, especially like kids and people that look up to us, like, I mean, that's dangerous, because then they're wearing our worry, and they're learning how to cope with things that they feel are out of their control, and they're going, oh, I know how he does it. Maybe that's the way I should do it. So, but all this to say, like, have grace for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I wanted to drill in even more is like, we have to have so much grace, because even silence and solitude, those practices are tough, and we're not going to do them every day, and we're not going to do them well, and sometimes we're going to try it and it's not going to work, and we're going to go out in silence and solitude, feel like we heard God's voice, had this tremendous peace, walk inside, and 3 seconds later, we're going to lose our temper because our kid spilled coffee or something. And it's like, well, that didn't work. That doesn't mean it didn't work. That just means that, like, you're a human being and you have, still a lot of work to do.
That's a good one. And thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. Like, we do also sometimes treat these messages as to-do lists of now I have to go out, and if I'm going to be successful as a Christian, I'm going to have to be really good at solitude and silence.
Right.
That's not the goal here either. That's really good. Thank you.
Well said.
You talked about shifting your perspective through prayer. And I was talking to people just with Church Online this last week who said, I don't even know how to pray. Like, where do you even start with that? For someone who struggles to pray when life feels overwhelming, what would be a simple step that they could take this week?
Yeah, two thoughts. So one is, keep in mind that prayer is a conversation. So that's where the silence part, a lot of us miss it because we think prayer is just talking to God. But sometimes we have to be quiet enough to hear if there's anything that he's talking back to us, right? That's one part. But also, I think the only thing I would say about prayer is be honest. Be brutally honest. Be more honest with God than you are with yourself. So if you're having a hard time, try to be as descriptive as possible about why you're having that hard time. What is making you so frustrated? Why do you think you keep making the same mistake? I mean, this is what we see even with Elijah. Like, he's like, I want to die. I'm done. Take my life. Like, it's so brutally honest. If you read the Psalms, the prayers are so brutally honest. That's how we pour out. A lot of this junk that's in our cups is we have to get it out, and we have to be honest. And so prayer, and a lot of times you're just processing your emotions with God. And then once it's all there, out, and he's like, all right, sweet, you did that, man, he meets us in such beautiful ways in those moments.
I love that. I'm ready to go now. Let's pray. Hey, church, this week, when you feel overwhelmed, I want to just challenge you just to pause like this and take a breath, turn off the noise, and then remind yourself, you know what? I don't have all the answers, but I'm not alone. God is with me. And then, like Clint says, listen for God's whispers. And imagine if it would look like, church, if we all did that. Our families, our neighborhoods, our workplaces, I believe they would be marked by peace instead of panic and pressure and even fear. And I believe that kind of future is really possible, and it starts with us. It starts right now. Are you with me? Because as Clint said, you said it so well, when we tune into Jesus, we find both the peace our souls long for and the courage to step back into the world with love. So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to sit with. We'll put it on the screen for a few minutes. Take a moment to share with, an answer with somebody near you, or drop it in the chat if you're online, or send it to a friend in a text, or put it at the top of your journal entry for today. The question is this: where is the noise in your life drowning out God's voice? And how could you make space for more of Him instead this week? That's it. I'm so glad you were here. Hope to see you next time